So of course, everyone wants to know when their own SP will show up. When will your specific person actually show up? But if you're still waiting and you feel like you've been in a really prolonged waiting period, the chances are you're not manifesting effectively as you can and should. Today, I'm going to get into the exact specific reasons why your SP hasn't shown up yet, how to fix this. Don't worry, don't panic. This is going to be a reassuring video, as so many of my videos actually are. I like to go around the motivational rant type of route. So I'm going to get into all of that today. So don't panic, but chances are you do have to take accountability and self-awareness for what's going on, and we're going to help you fix it today. Welcome back to my channel, guys. Welcome if you're new here. I'm Alexa, a manifestation coach and content creator. I do loads of videos, a few on SP. I do it kind of 50-50 on different topics and different aspects of manifesting. So do subscribe if that sounds interesting and you need support, because I have tons of different pieces of advice, some really niche points to do with manifesting that sometimes people don't think about, but they make a huge difference. So you want to stay tuned and be subscribed to be able to see all my new content about that. You can also work with me one-to-one or get extra support through my coaching services, through paid services. If that's something you think you need, I offer a really affordable monthly membership. So take a look with the join button below. You'll get to see all the perks before you sign up, or all the links are in my description box for all my social media, really everything you need to see and how to get in touch with me, but also my actual website where you can purchase the coaching. When you're waiting and you're embodying that energy of waiting, of frustration, impatience, and your thoughts obviously align with that emotional state and just the energy and mood that you're giving, it's telling your mind, and it's just reaffirming overall that you don't have it yet. You're telling yourself that your manifestation hasn't arrived because you're waiting on it. So you're not embodying, even though you don't have to fully believe it, but you're not embodying, or at least trying to continue to build the beliefs and the way of thinking of it's here right now, and at least not correcting it. Because if you're applying a mental diet, those kind of thoughts would minimize. You would see and feel the improvements and the shifts overall, but it's so easy to get over reliant on the 3D reality and think, well, I'm seeing the opposite, so I'm just going to stay frustrated. I'm just going to keep questioning things and keep telling myself I'm still waiting. I'm still not seeing the results I want. If you keep thinking like that, or you feed into it and you don't correct that way of thinking, again, not 100%, but as best as you can, then you're going to get stuck in that cycle, and you're just going to feed into this I'm waiting for my manifestation. And that's what I'm going to keep telling myself every day. When it doesn't arrive, I'll reaffirm that it hasn't arrived yet. And it's a negative cycle. So even if you're affirming and you're visualizing, those are oftentimes, and not that it's wrong to take this approach, but those are oftentimes short-term methods, right? So it's good if you disperse them throughout the day. That's super powerful. If all throughout your day, you can apply some kind of mental focus on the end result, the different methods, whatever works for you, whatever you can do, even if it's just the mental diet, that's perfect as well. But you need to be doing something throughout the day, because chances are, typically people would have 30 minutes, an hour, maybe even 2 hours per day to do the mindset work, to focus your mind and shift your subconscious beliefs for your manifestation, and for your specific person to actually, show up and start conforming visibly. There's still a lot of time throughout the day where you might not be aware, or not be putting the focus or effort to be more intentional, or think, I'm just going to try my best to be on a good mental diet. I'm going to try and recognize those negative thoughts and flip them around, or, make sure I'm thinking aligned with the new story. If a thought comes up, if a trigger comes up, something they say or do on social media, through a mutual contact, workplace, school, whatever it might be. So essentially, if you're doing that, but then you're not continuing it, and you're just doing maybe 30 minutes a day, and then the rest of your day could be, any thoughts you have could have been a domino effect from feeling triggered, from seeing something, falling back into maybe a victim mindset, or, feeling sorry for yourself and frustrated, and telling yourself all these negative things that can be easy to spiral into if you're not in a good mindset and you haven't been consistent with that. It's going to be hard for your mind to get automatically back into that kind of mindset. And then what you're mirroring back, what's going to be mirrored back to you is your internal focus, your internal shift shift and identity of still being tied to a lack of your mindset. The waiting energy, the waiting mindset of it's still not here yet. You can't focus on something and then not put in the effort to shift those beliefs around and then expect your 3D reality to start changing. 30 minutes of affirming, as an example, is great. That's a perfect starting point, and you don't have to do more than that, but you do have to be aware of your mindset. You can't expect a quick, sudden shift and all the movement to start flooding in visibly. That's not to say there is no movement, but it won't flood in visibly if you're not putting in the effort and you're still in an old negative mindset, for example. So when you do start applying persistence and you stay with that consistently, you keep persisting with your manifestation, which just means you continue working towards it mentally, you keep building in those new beliefs, those new thought patterns, changing your literal neural pathways, your subconscious mind will take that in as a belief. It's not, if I can manifest, if it's a skill I have, if SP wants to conform. Those are not the stipulations. That's not how manifesting will work. It's, are you going to stay persistent? Are you going to push past and try your best to work through the hurdles, the issues that may and probably will come up in one way or another, a little bit of resistance, a little bit of triggers from your specific person. They are going to conform to the version you want when you continue with that persistence. It may be just persisting for 3 days. It could be a really quick turnaround. It depends on your starting point mentally, but your subconscious won't know the difference between what's real, what's imagined. Consciously, obviously, and intellectually you will know, but your subconscious, through that repetition, won't know that the visual of you and your SP, holding hands or talking on the phone, whatever it might be, that doesn't know it's not a memory. It's like you're imagining a future memory that you haven't experienced yet. It's your own memory from the future. Think of it that way. That's something I heard recently that is like so amazing and powerful. You are remembering something from your future self that is on your future timeline. You just haven't physically experienced it yet. So think of it like that with your visuals, with your affirmations, whatever comes to mind, your positive news story. Remind yourself that through that repetition, your subconscious will have no choice but to accept it as your current reality, as a belief. And then it has to materialize as a physical reality experience. So tying into that specific point as well, your SP isn't actually going to show up the way you want them to. They're going to show up the way you focus on them. What you focus on them, about their character, their behavior, and your actual, connection, relationship, even if it's not developed physically in your physical reality yet. The relationship you imagine to have with them and that you focus on, that's how they're going to show up. You need to be consistent with the positive assumptions about them. Even if there's a trigger, apply your mental diet, turn it back around, because if you keep telling yourself it's not conforming, I'm still waiting, it's not here yet, that's what's going to be reflected and prolong. It's going to prolong and stretch out the timeline even more of getting to that end result. So when you shift internally, when you put in the internal work and the internal focus, which is the key element, which I always say, it starts with you. It starts internally before you see the external shift come in. So whatever you focus on and the focus that you're putting in your mind with your affirmations, looping, applying any form of repetition, whether it's a visual or scripting, whatever works best and whatever you enjoy and have time for, that's what's going to start to come in together and start reflecting. But it's not that you started manifesting or you want a certain manifestation and relationship with your SP. It's what work and effort are you actually putting in? Like I said, it can be even just a little bit of effort if you don't have a lot of resistance, and it can be even just a very short time frame. Everyone's slightly different. So as I kind of already said before, when you start to become the version of you who already has them, which is mentally embodying and building on the beliefs that you're starting to stack up and build into right now of we're together, or they're texting me, or they take me on dates, or they're my husband, they're my wife, whatever it is, when you start to build into that and that's your identity, you're confident, you're secure, you know what your life is like, and you are so happy with your life and the state of your relationship, that's what's going to be mirrored back to you. And you need to build into that the version of you who already has them, who's already with them, who already has the relationship and results from your SP that you want. So it does all come together naturally. So I'm not here to tell you guys it's this really difficult, almost impossible scenario where you have to like go crazy on manifesting. You do not, but you need to be at least intentional and self-aware. Are you engaging with negative triggers or anything to do with that? You need to be aware of where your mindset actually is. And people often think, that it's easy to just trick your mind with affirming and that's all it takes. But if you are coming from a negative mindset, or you do spiral a lot, you've not really been putting in the effort, maybe like I said, 30 minutes of affirming, and then the rest of the day, you're not in a good mindset, you're kind of going against your affirmations, you're reaffirming the old story, the opposite, then you're not going to make a lot of progress and it's not going to happen quickly. So yeah, basically if you're checking the 3D, or you have negative habits and thought patterns that don't align with the new story, and they literally are the opposite, like saying that you're still single, you don't have good dating experiences, SP doesn't want you, anything that could tie into that is opposing what you actually want to create. So if you are, still checking or doubting, waiting, trying to get validation from your 3D and using that as the foundation of how you think, then it's going to get reflected. And unfortunately, that is reflected into the 3D being delayed. It's not about you being perfect with your mindset and thinking and believing immediately in your manifestation. You can have, negative thoughts. You can have a few down moments or a down day, especially emotionally. It's just about the consistency. So as soon as you start applying that consistency and persisting and really knowing this is how I'm going to work on my mindset, I'm going to try my best to be positive, try my best to continue building into my subconscious beliefs, shifting it around, building momentum with repetition and putting in whatever effort I can, that shift instantly happens. Like you will feel it emotionally or in a thought, in a dream. You will start to realize that within yourself. The shift is really happening positively now. So instead of asking, when is it going to happen? When is SP going to reach out? When am I going to get this result, this relationship? You start assuming, and like I said, your subconscious will accept it regardless. Start assuming it's here now. It's happening now. The shift is happening. SP's coming into me faster and faster every single day. I'm perfectly aligned. I'm getting the relationship I want right now. Whatever it is, that's an example of how you can speak to yourself, even just as a mental diet. And that's when the energy, everything shifts. You're realigning your literal physical reality, and your SP has to match that. You cannot think positively and change your beliefs to be more positive about your relationship with SP and they not match it. It's literally the law of assumption. It's the way it works, especially in quantum terms and quantum physics, the quantum realm. Everything will realign. You will shift your reality, and you will have to physically experience what you convince your own mind of. So the more you build up that persistence and consistency now, get out of that waiting energy and reaffirming that lack, then you'll see everything start to come in a lot better. You will feel it within yourself. And yeah, I'm going to leave this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed that, found it useful. If you did, please do thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.